Good day, good night, all. Welcome back, CFR Network, CFR News. Thank yourself for surviving another day, man. And I had to do it, man. I had to get the Supreme Team back on the broadcast. Gentlemen, siblings, please introduce yourself.
Greetings.
Go ahead, Kim. I'm sorry.
Greetings. Nah, it's all good. Of course, I've been on here just about, a couple of months ago. It was an amazing build, and I'm very happy to be back to your audience, the CFR News audience. Thank you to you for helping to put us back together. We were separated for quite some time, but cooler heads prevailed and intelligent minds came together and allowed us to reconnect and get back to this space where we could spread information and news. Once again, my name is Bunu Nupu. I am definitely a representative of Noon Science. I'm also one of the peoples that create a lot for Noon as well. I created a calendar. Hopefully you can check it out on my website, noponoon.com, NOPONOONE.com. Also created a watch, but most of these things I'm putting into creating digitally. So if anybody out there does any type of digital work like creating apps and things of that nature, please reach out to me. So thank you again to the audience, and we're gonna have an amazing build today.
Indeed, sibling. Come through, Ta.
All right, true peace to the sibling, true peace to Anoop. I had the put on the old original name, the old school name right here. It's gonna send shockwaves to the followers of York. They hated this name, and I thought it was fitting just to bring it back because we're one. And I think this is, like I said, on all the platforms I've been on, no disrespect to nobody else, this is one of the best, if the best interviewer that I had the pleasure of being on, because you reached out to Anoop some years ago, and then it's been on ever since. And I'm just glad to be back moving forward. Like the Ken said, the same thing as he said, I'm a creator and also a writer. Anu forgot to put that in there. He's also a writer and a great orator. Like myself, I worked with him on the first watch. The second watch is the one that I want to get made physically. I think that outshines the first one that was put out. I think that was like really ingenious how that was made. And we got websites. You got newpanoon.com. We got fire9news.com. You can find our works on both websites. Of course, I created the Noonabu Tarot deck.
Yes.
Based upon Noon and the science of the universes and stuff like that, which you can find us doing that on our YouTubes. Myself, Kwipu, also known as Kwira Upu, and also Marsha, and also Nibu Ray Unu, as well, are doing readings up to date. And so, I just wanted to say I'm glad that we are able to reunite again, and we're gonna have a powerful build today. Thank you.
Give thanks, sibling, and I am most definitely looking forward to this build and tapping into the wealth of knowledge. Because at this time, man, you know what I mean?
But we also got to give thanks to you, man, to being the bridge. We got to give you thanks for being the bridge to helping us get back, to what we need to get back to, because it's much needed. Not even on a personal scale, but also as a collective as well.
Yes.
Whether it be, planetarily, universally, however we want to look at it. You have to find that motivation from wherever we need to find it from in order to get back into unification in the proper and mental mental fashion. So I'm just want to give you thanks, for bringing the dream team back together. Well, not we gonna call it the reason team, bringing the reason team back together.
Mhm.
A dream is something that don't exist. So I gotta bring it back to we the reason team. So so I appreciate you, Noble, for putting it together and really, some of the it's crazy, but some of the most important people that have helped to make big things happen in our lives, they have names like Royal, Noble.
Rest in peace to Royal.
Yeah, Royal passed away, but he dropped some very good nuggets for us that helped us to move forward. And it's just, coincidentally that your name is Noble, and Noble is one of the names within the nature books. So if you ever decide, you got two of the best teachers right next to you. So if you ever decide to walk on over to Noonside, which I think you should, you already got your name, Noble. You know what I'm saying? So
truly, sibling, man. Honors, man. Honors. Listen, I'm just here doing what I was created to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To utilize sense and to connect, to build,
right,
to potentially destroy some of the programming that we've been given forth as youngsters, and to propagate knowledge, man.
Absolutely.
Each one teach 12. This is the whole purpose of this platform, is to explore the human experience and to also not be jealous kings and walk around in our regalia and have our bejeweled crown and not give those jewels out to the people to create little princesses to be then come kings and queens of their own destination and their own realm. So this is the charge. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep on doing it. Shadow banning don't matter. That don't matter. The truth stands alone. We don't need. It'd be nice for it to be going a lot further than it does, but it's an indicator to show that the truth is being propagated. And if even if just 10 people stumble across some of the information we're going to discuss, and it creates a ripple effect and an impact to make a change in their life, we've done our job, siblings.
True. That's an absolute fact. Yeah. Information is like a candle being spread from candle to candle. When you have an unlit candle and you put it next to a candle that has the light, and then you light that candle, and you could light a million other candles with that. And that's essentially what we're just trying to do. Is we just trying to light the candle within your mind with the proper information and the true information and the truth, just to allow anybody to spread it. Because information is the most important resource at this particular point in time. It's not gold, it's not silver, it's not oil, it's not AI, it's not any of those things. What's most important in this day and time is the truth and what we do with the truth. So that is the most important resource, and we can see that through the media and how the media uses various tactics just to sway the mind of the people, regardless if you agree or disagree with someone. You shouldn't be coerced into, agreeing with someone when all of their values in your everyday life doesn't coincide with you. You know what I'm saying? Some people they just follow what the television set says, and that to me is very dangerous and detrimental. So my message, right now at this point in time, is to just understand that the most powerful natural resource is your mind and information, the proper information rather.
Proper education always corrects errors. And that's an excellent segue to the first part of this build. The shame stream, pardon self, / lame and shame stream media are propagating currently in all kind of disharmony, distraction. There's an overload of just death and destruction. There's planes dropping out the sky, helicopters. There's rolling blackouts over in Europe. There's cyber attacks. The media are doing everything to distract and keep us off where we're there. Now we have the sibling over there, Ibrahim, being that huge burning example and candle, not just for the continent of Africa, but for every melanated person on this plane of existence. And what is he showing us currently? He's showing us that the colonial mindset, that Willie Lynch chip, has been destroyed in some of the minds of original people. And he wants to bring forth a system and a nation, most importantly, which can strive and be self-sufficient, be self-determined. But yet we've got the media, and where you guys reside, the belly of the beast, and where I reside, the brains of the beast. We're connecting up and going over there and sowing all kind of foolishness and making out like my man's some kind of warlord, and he's a threat to quote unquote democracy based upon his Marxist ties, gentlemen. He has Marxist ties and he has Islamic ties as well. That's a danger to the first world, as it's known, to the Western world. So, you know, that's the table how I've laid it, siblings. Let's lay it out, man. Let's dissect this thing.
I think Tar has a good history on Traore. I think he should start that out because he's been studying Traore for quite some time, even prior to him taking power and things like that. So give us a little build up how Traore even got to where he's at right now and why he.
I think, well, I'm gonna correct you on that. I wasn't aware of him per se when he was doing his thing. I think I came much more aware of him early this year, in January, and it's only because of the way the information is going. Plus, I study world history, you know, with the Agenda 21 and the United Nations and all. So just that, and I guess YouTube with its algorithms started slowly popping the videos up. So I just started looking at him, and when I looked at him, I was like, you know, what's really going on? Because as Nooniboos, we kind of like, we know everything. We know that the cycle is going to produce people like this. So it's not, that wasn't a surprise. What it was is just from that particular part of the world and how it came to be, because, you know, we know that Noon is still spreading through the books, and we know that most people are not going to just gravitate toward Noon because of its anti-stance against religion and the spirits that use it to control. So when I seen that, I said, okay, so he's claiming Islam. I see that he took power in September 2022, and that it was two other generals. One of them, I think, is Assimi Gota, and I can't remember how to pronounce the other general. And they all pretty much did the same thing in the same time. Because matter of fact, they were saying coups really started like after 2020. They said it just Africa been a hotbed of coups. So that lines up with what the cycle was saying, because in the nature books it says that the Armageddon started well before the moon cycle ended in 1962, February 5th. And it gives us a 60 plus year time window of when World War III will pop off and then Armageddon will follow it. So if you look at Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, they all got independence around 1958 to 62, 63, 64. So all of these three countries that's standing together, landlocked, are within that 60-year period. So that's how I was looking at all of that, to look at that stuff. And then once we start looking at the fact that up to date, according to my research, and I follow at least 20 African channels and people that's over there, say they've been trying to assassinate him at least 30 times.
Yes, enough
and
times.
They said he's holding the world record for assassination attempts.
Dang.
So that off alone, and then when he kicked France out, I sat up on my chair.
Yeah. That was major.
And the fact that they left, but they didn't leave without looting the gold reserves, and they destroyed a lot of buildings and things when they left Burkina Faso. And they made sure they took whatever they could, and they stopped printing the money for them, because Burkina Faso didn't print their own currency like all of these countries that America and the European Union, all them people control.
Yeah.
People need to understand that. So they crippled him to an extent, but all he did was he was good. He said, you know what, I ain't worried about that. He kicked them out, stopped them from touching the gold mines and all of that. And he been using the gold to pay Russia and China and the Turks to train his soldiers. He getting weapons from China and Russia. Other groups of people won't sell them weapons and up-to-date equipment, but China and Russia are. Now, he did strike a gold deal with Russia, and they was trying to say, oh, you done swapped out one master for another, and that's actually not the case. He signed an 8-year deal with the Russians to mine gold. Of course, they got to pay a little tax, but it's for 8 years. If you look at the way the other countries that got their gold and other reserves deals with other countries, is 50 to 100 years.
Yes, minimum.
So he's not doing that. So I'm making sure I pay attention to how people and leaders before him were doing things, and the puppets that they had to remove. And if you look at the news, Mali, Niger, I think Namibia,
Congo? Congo?
Not yet.
Okay.
They're getting their strength up to be able to go and stop that right now. So that's what he's doing. But I know Namibia, Ghana is somewhat, they on the same train with the visas, and saying America and Americans can't come here without paying for a visa, because they used to let them come to their country and get a visa later. But when Trump and them started all this other stuff and kicking people out, they said, okay, this is what we're gonna do. So Burkina Faso, all of them, then stop them people that's like Americans. Really, it's mostly gonna be Europeans, because that's what it's gonna come up to.
Yes.
Is that it's gonna go to what all of our leaders been saying for a long time, and that it's the nature of the Caucasian race, and it's not to and I'm not speaking about the positive ones that we've seen and do know personally, but the majority and the nature of them, especially the ruling party, they're gonna always learn and keep doing what they're doing to be oppressive, and they learn that what they call imperialism. They got that from their parents, which is the Hindu. The Hindu had an imperialistic system, and if people read the books of Manu, it breaks down their whole caste system. So the same way you got the rich, the elite, and all that, the Caucasian built his system exactly the same, except he practiced that on non-white people to an extent. So, but outside of that, you know, the man is doing a lot. He's, I think recently he visited some widows that had people in the army that passed, and he's saying he's trying to set up centers. But he said he's trying to get a list that can list of all the different people who lost people in the war, and construct the list and build a center there so they can get benefits from fallen soldiers and stuff like that. So he's doing that. He done built a shoe factory. They making their own shoes. They got they making their own electric cars. They got their own I think a wheat factory, a cotton factory. Everything he's saying they doing it themselves. They not importing nothing to them. They're export. They not importing nothing. And that's going strictly to doing for self, like the Nation of Islam say, which are not doing. What nature's doing is propping him up as the example to the world. That's why he's having the response he's having, because of other leaders and their people and the internet are seeing this man who took control of a country, and he's actually doing the right thing about it. The man said he ain't took a break since they took over. He said they get little rest, right? But they stay working. And he done reduced the pay of the politicians 30% and gave that to the civil worker. So he's changing the things that we all know how it should be. Even though in Noon, equalism is better than anything that man has done as far as how his society is created. Because as long as you got rank, it's still gonna be a problem. So you have to get equalism, everybody share the wealth, and in Noon is what's gonna make it different than anybody else is that the leaders and the people gonna study the same science, which I talked to you about this before, Noble. As long as you got the elite and the people believing in different things, it's gonna always be that confusion. So, but that's all I wanted to say as far as that Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. It's 3 individuals. They just focusing more on Ibrahim. But Assimi Gota, who's the older gentleman, he's the one that started it with, he had 2 coups before he took over the country and started kicking the French out. And Traoré is following his lead. So,
okay.
See what I'm saying? So it's 2 older gentlemen that's around it. And that's what's going on. He's just more important because they realize the youth need to see somebody younger.
Yeah.
Standing firm. And he keep telling the youth, y'all the future.
Exactly.
And I'm doing this for y'all and the women and the children. That's what no other leader is doing in these other countries. They want to stay in power and forever and pass it on through nepotism, and nobody gets a shot. So that's what makes him the lion that he is, and also a beautiful representation to black people, especially black men. And I like what he's doing because it's putting to shame all these fake leaders over here in America who've never done nothing but talk. That's it. They ain't do nothing. They still wearing suits and cashing checks, and they ain't telling black folks to do nothing but just keep bringing them money. That's why you don't see these leaders enforcing and pushing real revolution. And Malcolm said that one time, rest in peace, that he used to say revolution until he started really looking at, what his name, the guy from Cuba?
Fidel Castro.
Yeah, Castro.
No, the other guy that died that was a revolutionary.
Che Guevara.
Yeah, Che Guevara. He said when he started talking to him and watching him, Malcolm said he realized the revolution comes with death and bloodshed. He realized, and that's what none of these other leaders are willing to do. See, so they took too much time, they waited and didn't listen to Marcus Garvey. So between Marcus Garvey and Afro Uno, all that stuff in between softened us up and made us sit here too long. Because now they got all these weapons and they killing us with the cops putting guns and stuff all over the place. And before we had to worry about other races, it was just the Caucasian. Now you got the Chinese over here with fentanyl, Bill Gates them and apples and all. We being attacked by more than just one race now. And this is their fault for listening to all these mentally dead Negroes and and all these other people's doctrine that was anti-Africa. Now, Africa done produced another leader who ain't saying nothing they saying and getting more done in 3 years than all of these organizations that been in America since 1929.
Come on.
So you talking about almost 100 years, all y'all got done was holidays for the federal after the government killed some of our leaders and get them a holiday and just change out, and you still got all these clowns here, Jesse Jackson, all these dudes ain't accomplished nothing, and they've been on the scene 60 years. And this is why we have to change our mind and look at that example that we see in Africa, because and the nature book say this, the only true king and ruler is the Ethiopian man. This is why the light and the attraction is so attracted and magnetizing and blowing him up, and he rarely talks.
Yes.
You rarely see him on TV doing what these Negroes doing over here around the world. Umar Johnson, all these dudes doing all this talking, and they ain't accomplished nothing, and they been out here.
Come on, sibling.
That's all I wanted to say. I'm gonna let Anoop do his thing. I'm just happy to see the cycle actually producing black men doing something. And when he tell everybody, we already said this last year, black people can come home with no visa.
Yes.
Only thing we waiting on is I'm gonna let Anoop go into that with the letter and all that. Go ahead, Anoop. I'm done.
Oh, you want me to discuss the letter? Okay.
Yeah, go, might as well.
Okay. All right. So we as we were getting getting wind of Traore, because this was around the same time that me and Tar got back in contact. So this was when this thing was like hot off the press, and we were both talking about Traore and the amazing things that he was doing in Africa as far as liberation is concerned. And like Tar said, you see the thing about religion and what's separate from Noon is that Noon will pick people who are upright, regardless if you in Noon or not. Long as you're living upright and you're destined for the cycle, it's gonna choose you for the job. See, in religion, they'll teach you that person will only come out of Christianity, or that person would only come out of Islam, or that person might only come out of Buddhism, or whatever particular science, that their messenger is only gonna come from their tribe. Noon does not teach that. We teach that everyone can have an uplifted mind, and they can be used in whatever kind of way for the cycle that nature needs you to be used for. And that's what Tar was alluding to when it came to Traore, that even though he's not in Noon and he's in Islam, that he is destined for the cycle to push things forward, to motivate the minds of those that needs the motivation. And one of the things I spoke to Tar about was watch how Islam tries to claim Traore as this divine person sent by Allah. But what about the other people who are trying to hurt him that follow Allah? The jihad that came in there and murdered over 100 soldiers of Ibrahim Traore. Yeah, so one of the assassination attempts, they murdered over 100 people, or soldiers rather, trying to get to him. Another aspect is when Ibrahim was talking about the economic success of the nation, the same Islamic tribes were trying to convince him, oh, let's put 200 mosques inside of Burkina Faso.
Yeah, the Prince of Saudi Arabia offered him that. Right.
And to me, that's very telling. Right, so before they could take you over or take over any landmass, they did that. They did that with America. They did that with Africa. Anywhere that they saw darker peoples, what did they come in there with? They came in with religion. Yes. They wiped it out, and then they had to bring religion in order to keep your minds in a sleep state, because that's what they'll do. If they can't murder you out the way that they want to, they're gonna definitely do it using religion. That's what they did with every first generation after the ones that were kidnapped and overturned right here in America. The very first generation had to learn Christianity. You understand? Because they need that spiritual uprooting of your mind.
Purchase your tracks today.